Welcome, Beer Guys Radio. We are live.
We are.
Like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, I think.
We're
here with Michael Williams, Great Lakes Brewing Company. Michael, how you doing today, sir?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Good. We are absolutely awesome. We're cooling down now. We got some beer in our glass finally, and feeling good. We've got us a crushworthy
Very good.
right here.
That's the way to start.
So we're gonna get on
Hydrate.
that. Yes, absolutely. Folks watching the live stream, you have any questions, comments, feel free to leave them in the chat. We're going to get into our radio segment here, and we'll be back in just a few minutes to chat with you.
Open up a tab, grab a seat, and pour a pint. It's time for the Beer Guys Radio Show.
You want free beer? Go to the brewery.
Dedicated to the art, science, and enjoyment of craft beer.
Yeah, what's wrong with the beer we got?
Now, here are your hosts, Tim Dennis and Brian Hewitt.
And welcome to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We are broadcasting from the Beer Guys Radio Studios. This week, we're talking with Great Lakes Brewing Company. I'm Tim Dennis, and with me, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Brian Hewitt.
Hey, Tim. Joining us today, we have Michael Williams, the brand coordinator and beer educator at Great Lakes Brewing. We're going to talk about classic beer styles like Christmas ale, not just styles, but actually classic beers, but maybe classic beer styles too.
Both.
Brewing innovations, new seasonals, and what happens when the gales of November come early. Michael, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. The gales of November come early. That doesn't sound like a good thing.
Yeah, it probably seems
out.
menacing. It seems like it might not be good for people near Great Lakes.
Tune in at 11 to find out.
That's right.
Absolutely. Brian, some interesting news you shared with us this week. So we hear it's National Hot Dog Day.
Yes, that's the word going around on social media. As of the time we are recording it, National Hot Dog Day.
There are so many holidays
yes, to
come out there. And Michael, I think all of them call for a beer, right?
Definitely National Hot Dog Day, but I can come up with a pairing for pretty much any one of them. Yeah.
Okay. It was National Capybara Appreciation Day the other day. What would you pair with capybara?
Ooh, capybara. I don't know. The Crushworthy, the cute little animal, right? Maybe that cute little Crushworthy that's 4% you guys got.
There you go. There. That sounds like that sounds
You had that one ready. I like it.
Is it grilled or smoked? Or I mean, how is that capybara
it depends
prepared?
on the preparation.
That's right.
It?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do need to know the method of preparation.
That's a good point. You know, I've seen them like resting in like hot steam pools, like in a spa, and I've seen like fruit floating in there with them. So maybe stewed is a good preparation. Folks.
So they live their life in stew so they can be ready at a moment's notice to be your food.
They're just waiting. Yeah. They are just waiting.
Capybaras, the real heroes here.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Now that you mention it, Michael, really hot dogs across the country, there's a huge variety in the way you eat those. So I guess that could also depend on the preparation, right?
Just about, yeah, because there's a bunch of different ways to make it.
Brown mustard in a bun. That's all you need.
That's it. See that, and you know what? People get really divided about that. I mean, that's some hot topics. That ketchup.
Yeah,
there are people that'll street fight over you putting ketchup.
I noticed that there seemed to on social media, right, with the people talking about it. There's a lot of people hating on ketchup on a hot dog. I'd never really given it much thought.
Yeah,
but I'm usually a mustard guy. If there are onions around, definitely, I'll throw them on there, and I'll just
onions are cool.
I'll go off script if there's sauerkraut around, even if it's just a hot dog. I'll throw that on there too with the mustard.
So see, I lived outside of Syracuse, New York for a while. So not like the vendors in New York City, but hot dog stands there were big. And ours was Vern's Doghouse. And you'd go to Vern's and he had the condiment bar on the side and different relishes and sauerkraut and pickles and that. So live your life, man.
Oh, I'd be down for pickle. I've never tried that in a hot dog, but I would try that.
Well, have you never had like a Chicago hot dog? With the whole dill pickle spear and the sport pepper and tomato slices on it?
I don't know that I've actually had. I've had the Italian beef. I don't know about the Chicago dog.
All right, we'll have to hit a Chicago joint and get you an actual Chicago dog.
Okay, I'll have to do that. I don't eat a lot of hot dogs. I'll just gonna point that out. It's something that I may have had a little bit as a kid, but that was Po people food. So we had a lot of that, and I got a few nickels in my pocket that jingle around, and I decided I'm not eating very many hot dogs anymore. So
I don't care how much money, man. Hot dogs they're a time
classic.
What is the traditional way to? You said brown mustard in a bun is all you need. Is there a traditional? Like, do you put chili? I mean, you guys got your.
That's
I guess
South.
that's Cincinnati,
No, dude,
right?
Isn't that South? Right? No, they put the chili on the. They put the chili on the spaghetti and stuff like that down there. Yeah.
Down in Cincinnati.
St. Louis or something?
We're north.
Cincinnati.
We're north. We're Cleveland, so
Okay.
we're northern Ohio.
Oh.
So for us, the big thing, the big thing's the brown mustard. There are two different rival brown mustards here. Burtman's personally my favorite of the two. That's the one they serve at the baseball ballpark, the Guardians. Cleveland Guardians. Yep.
Okay.
That's my way to go.
That I have had chili dogs more recently than any other form of dog, So I do like that. That's good. I didn't even consider
chili
that.
dogs.
Yeah, chili dogs.
I
fantastic.
like kraut and mustard on one too, but let me blow everyone's minds with one of my mother's favorite preparations. She'd take pork and beans and put them in a bowl and mash them into a paste, and then put a layer of mayonnaise on the hot dog, top them with the pork and bean mash, and put onions on that. So mayonnaise, pork and beans, and onions. That was Mom's favorite.
Is there
Definitely
a name for this?
You need the mayo.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm curious about this, and I kind of want to put it out there to the social media to say, would you even try this madness here? There's got to be a name for that.
I don't think my mom ever did drugs, but that kind of sounds like that's where that would come from, doesn't it? So
that also sounds like
some sort of deep dream state, right?
That is something going on there.
Possibly that, or I have these things and I need to make these into something. I'm like, we could eat the beans separately, but they're getting a little old. So I'll just mash them up, mix them with some mayo, and throw them on a hot dog.
But I think a brown ale or a porter would probably pair well with that combo on the hot dog.
Probably,
right?
yeah, probably.
How about I wanted to send you guys our Oktoberfest, but we didn't have it in the store yet. That an Oktoberfest would be a perfect pairing with the dog.
You know what? You're right. That would go quite fine with it. So
I know it's July 20th. It's a little early, but
See, we have a self-imposed embargo on drinking any Oktoberfest before September 1st. It's our personal mission. To fight seasonal creep.
Indeed.
One, two. Have you joined the mission?
I'm on board. Yeah.
Okay. Because I was a solo mission a couple years ago. So
no, and I started seeing them
more for me now though, so it's okay.
I saw.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, fine, do what you want, guys.
When I see stuff like pumpkin beers on shelves right now in stores, I've seen this picture and Oktoberfest dropping right now. I'm like, no, guys, too soon. Marzens are great, but I agree. But all that stuff, I just push it back to where it belongs. That's fine.
I got a press release for a 5K beer run, Halloween, like last week.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
what's that? That's like 90 days out. That's there.
Is it 90 days?
That's a season, man. That's a whole season away.
Yeah, I'm not ready to think about cold weather and leaves falling down and
madness.
all that. I'm still complaining about how hot it is now. I'm not ready to start complaining about how cold it is.
Cold it is, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Well, Tim, I think we should talk about the beers of the week.
Brian, as always, a great list of beers to get into. We want to thank our friends at the Nest in Kennesaw, Georgia, for sponsoring this segment. Craft beer, tasty barbecue in Kennesaw. We got to get back up for some more ribs.
Yeah.
We used to praise the wings and still love the wings.
Still love them.
But those ribs really impressed recently.
Took it up a notch. Those were awesome. And they were twice. They were amazing.
Michael, good old smoked barbecue ribs. What Great Lakes beer would you pair up with that?
Dude, that's a gimme. That's a layup. That's got to be Eddie Fitz, the porter.
That's what I figured it'd be.
Oh, yeah, you knew
Eddie there. I knew that's where we were going. Good stuff, man. Well, today we have some great Great Lakes beers to drink. We are currently enjoying Crushworthy, which is a low-cal citrus wheat. We have Hazecraft, Brian, IPA, and Tropicoastal, Brian, Tropical IPA.
You made it through.
Be great. I did. I can't read. I've just learned to read. I think it's pretty good. So
we're gonna convince you to buy glasses eventually.
Eventually, one day we'll get there. Well, Brian, I made it through the beer list. What's happening in the news?
All right, so we've got some interesting mid-year craft beer stats from Brewbound, and the numbers aren't great. Off-premise sales of craft beer have declined 7.4%. For the first half of 2022 when compared to last year, and only 3 of the top 20 styles are showing any kind of growth year over year. That said, there did seem to be some improvement in the weeks leading up to July 4th, at least according to data from Nielsen IQ. The top 2 growing styles were hazy Imperial IPAs and traditional also Imperial IPAs, which together grew 6.7% year to date, are now in demand. So people are moving away from the lower stuff, apparently, towards the higher gravity stuff. And I welcome that. The overall IPA category is still king, even with its meager 1.8% growth. IPAs accounts for 46% of dollar sales. Wheat ales in a distant second place were only up 0.2%. So that's where we're at as of halfway through this year.
Is that similar to trends you're seeing, Michael? Or does that check align with the Great Lakes?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been an interesting year this year. So last year, 2021 was a crazy year for us, but this year, like a lot of other craft, we're fighting a lot of forces between the supply chain woes, the inflation and all that. But we're making it work. But those numbers, I'm glad you guys mentioned those numbers, because now I don't have to mention them later.
See, there you go, man. You got it. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We do need to take a break, but we will be right back with more from Great Lakes Brewing Company.
So the Tippas are back, Tim.
Tippas.
If they ever went away at all.
Don't call it a comeback. They've been here for years.
Because it seemed like everybody was coming out with a triple IPA. What was it, 6 months ago, a year ago? Like everybody had a triple IPA, and I loved it. I was in heaven. I'm a fan of that. So
yeah. Stephen Pete, Kettle Rock Brewing. Welcome, Stephen. Thanks as always for joining us. Fan of the Eddie.
Yeah, everybody is.
Eddie Fitzgerald.
It's the GOAT. Oh, Ashtabula, nice. Yep, very good.
Excellent.
Good stuff.
Couple counties northeast of us, yeah.
So what were you saying about the triple IPAs?
Man, like, I love a good double IPA, like that 8 to 10% range. But once you get above 10, it just it starts to get heavy for me. You know what I mean? Like, it starts to become a little bit of a sipper. And like, if it's an IPA for me, like it needs to be still kind of scarily drinkable. Even if it's
gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like, it feels weird saying that 9% beer should be drinkable, but like, that's kind of what we go for,
very crushable 9%.
I seriously have encountered this. I've encountered ones in the 9-10% range that are like, this shouldn't be this drinkable. Well, transmigration of souls is, I find, generally speaking, drinks way easier than a 10%. And I guess that's just they consider that a DIPA, but yeah. That drink's so easy, and it's so good
too.
Before the haze craze and the Northeast styles, I just said as a blanket statement, I don't care for IPAs because I'm not a West Coast bitter IPA guy. But if you stepped into the DIPAs that brought a little more malt backbone to it, for me, that was more palate pleasing, Brian.
Sure.
So I could drink those, but you get into Tippas, and didn't 5 Seasons do a quint one time?
Yeah, they may well have done. Was that their Belgian?
Was that a Belgian?
I think I don't remember what that was, but probably Belgian. But I also, being from the West Coast, I drank the IPAs. We had ESBs almost everywhere. I actually drank a ton of ESBs, and I would drink the IPAs. I'm like, oh, these are fine. And
Nate, you hand me a
I wasn't as huge
as well
into the bitter edge, but I started finding those DIPAs, and I'm like, oh my God, this hop candy, this with all this malt. I'm like, I'm down with this.
Absolutely.
But again, it doesn't satisfy the same way an IPA that's crushable would,
Sure.
I
just say, like, I go barley wine at that point. If I'm drinking 12, 13, 14%, I want that like a Bigfoot or something like that. So,
but I have a lot of love for the good drinking IPA, whether it be on the traditional, more bitter side, or whether it be, really tropical, really fruity. Either way, I like those. But I definitely have room in my heart and in my belly for the DIPAs and the Tippas.
Room in my heart. Yes.
Amen.
Yeah. I saw an article earlier this week, and I didn't read all the details, but it was the headline was something like, our IPAs being dethroned, something along those lines. And it was talking about, I know one brewery in particular, but I think potentially the Denver brewing scene was seeing Pilsners. A pet peeve of mine, the phrase Pilsners and lagers. Can't stand
Right.
that phrase.
Lagers and pilsners.
That's kind of redundant, right?
Right, but you
Navy
see it
beans,
all the
Navy
time.
beans.
It
You
gets
see it
used
all the time. Yep.
So
Yep.
anyhow, pilsners and lagers are seen to come up, and in some of the tap rooms are taking the number one from places where IPA has traditionally been, the winners there. So I'm not opposed to that.
I won't be surprised to see that start to happen and it close the gap. What I was a little surprised by in the stats that I saw that just the wheat ale category was in the second spot. Like it's trailing way far behind IPAs, but I'm like, does that include like Berliners? Are they lumping that in there? Because Berliners, wheated beers. I mean,
it's probably Blue Moon, guys. It's probably Blue Moon.
That's probably it probably is Blue Moon.
You know what though? I tell you what though, I have seen more wheats. Like like isn't Crushworthy? That's a citrus wheat, right?
Yep, totally. So
I have seen
like
more
a sessionable Blue Moon-ish. It's not quite the same, but.
And I tell you what, I could sit around by the pool sweating and crushing these Crushworthies.
Crushworthy is my favorite name of all of my names. Because it's got so many meanings to it, including that one.
This is right. This one is light, refreshing, has a decent body to it. The little lemon hit is that's so great in the summer, in the heat, in the warmth. When you want finish mowing your lawn, Crushworthy.
That's right.
By the pool, Crushworthy. Brian.
Absolutely.
I might go this tropic coastal route though. I'm just had a sip off of this and I'm like,
that's fine.
Hang on a second.
That's what I'm sipping on right now myself.
Yeah.
6%. That's so crushable.
Crushing 6
session beer
for the beach.
I was going to ask you, and I meant to write it down, and I saw it in Untapped. There was a wheat ale. Now that we're talking about wheat ales, I think it was wheat. Heavily dry hopped or wet hopped, or do you know what I'm talking about? It was, I think, a fairly recent thing you did. It was like a wheat.
Do you remember the name by chance?
No, I don't.
Wheat ale.
Yeah, hang on. Let me tell. Aloha. It was like Aloha.
Aloha. That's what I thought. Yeah, it's kind of like a blonde ale type deal, and that uses wet hops from those cryogenically frozen wet hops that are starting to hit the market at a couple different brewers.
Oh,
so we got basically a little sample of that, and the pub brewer just tried that on the 7 barrel system. That system, the virtual background that I had for a second, and I got scared to use. That was that was the original brew house. That's where he tinkers around with stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
interesting concept.
Cryogenically frozen wet hops is a new thing to me, so we'll have to talk about that more. Yeah.
Although it's not like a super official product yet, but little samples have kind of gone out here or there. So
do they maintain the character of the wet hops?
From what I can tell, yes, they have.
Okay, that's cool. Mm-hmm. That's cool. Yeah. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm. So the plan is to wake them up one day when we can heal what's wrong with them, right? Isn't that how that works? The cryogenic freezing? Oh no, that's
right. Yeah,
that's with people, not hops.
No, you have to freeze the hop brains.
Oh, the hop brains. Okay, as long as you preserve the hop brains. What is that? Lupulin? Is that the hop brain? I don't know.
Yeah,
something like that.
I just act like you should know that.
I should know.
Come on, Brian.
Sorry, guys.
Is it the lupulin?
And hey, guys, with the wet hop thing, we're not back on yet, right?
Well, we're live streaming,
not yet, huh?
Yeah. We're the live stream going. Everybody already knows. Yeah.
Yes.
Never mind. We're good. Yeah, the wet hops.
Okay. The wet hops.
Yep.
Is that a topic we want to avoid on the show?
I mean, yeah. I want to talk about it, but yeah.
Are you? You know what? I personally think our show is a great place to
break some new information,
to discuss these things. Yeah. So
let's talk about we can talk about.
You know what?
I can't get too specific about it. Basically,
if you feel good, you just go for it. Whatever you feel in your heart, Michael, will.
If it feels right, do it. It's kind of our motto, especially with guests.
It feels a little bit right. Yeah.
A little bit right.
Because I want to nerd out so much. Yeah.
Then do it a little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit's good.
Cool. Well, I tell you what, let's get back into it. Michael, ready to jump back in here?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Cannonball coming.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Remember, all episodes are available on demand. So if you missed the broadcast, get the podcast. Beer Guys Radio is available on the Podcast Park and all popular and unpopular podcasting apps. Now let's get back to Great Lakes Brewing.
Michael, your title is brand coordinator and beer educator.
Yeah.
And the noble title, beer education.
Half of that's official. The other half is what I always also tell people.
What you tell people?
Yeah, that the second half is the part I add on.
Okay.
Is that the education?
What's happening there? All right.
The education stuff. Yeah. So I'm on our marketing team. So that's the brand coordinator part. And I do some like traditional communication stuff like blogging and like newsletters and things like that. But the other half of what I do is training like staff and doing classes for the public and, hopping on podcasts and stuff like this and educating about Great Lakes and about our beer and all that stuff.
Okay. How did you get involved with Great Lakes Brewing?
So I started at Great Lakes, let's see, 9 years and about 2.5 months ago. So I'm coming on the 10-year anniversary soon. I was in the restaurant. I was bussing. And I was saying, what the heck am I doing with myself right now after having massive student debt from college?
Yes.
But I was already a craft beer fan. I was passionate about craft beer and knew I could find a way. Basically started giving public tours. I was serving in the pub, kind of getting the sales and marketing feel. And then I was able to move into marketing and kind of take over our education program and picked up some other marketing functions along the way. So it's very cool. It's an awesome place and great opportunity.
So you were into craft beer already. Did you ever dabble any with like home brewing or anything like that? Or was it always
I did. And that's why I work in marketing and not in the brewery, because I very swiftly realized that, man, I could like talk about beer and get paid for it, or I could make beer and get paid for it. So I think I'll take the talk about beer part.
Yes. Michael, you were talking to a couple guys who can relate to that statement.
Very much
so. That's
right. Yeah.
We've been asked as well, why didn't you guys start a brewery? I'm like, that's a lot of work. I mean,
oh my goodness. Yeah.
And
those guys are so awesome. They do great work, but they're meant to do that, not me. Yeah.
It's work. I mean, we've mentioned several times on the show. If you've ever homebrewed and you've hung out with your buddies in the garage on a Saturday and brewed a batch, that is where it's born that you want to be a brewer. You're like, I want to do this. When you actually do commercial brewing and see the scale that this isn't your buddy's garage on the weekend. If you're cut out for it, phenomenal job. We have a buddy who was literally a primate scientist and went into brewing and loves it. Has been, there for years. Very and cool. Super smart guy. All his science background definitely helps him in brewing, but to go from primatology to maltology.
He was kind of a natural. That. And it's very much
maltology.
I was going to say it's very much a brainy job, but as a primate scientist, I think he had to interact with the actual primates a fair amount. So
he did.
Yeah. So
which is probably much like working the tap room.
Probably so. Yes, probably so.
I've experienced that part of the industry.
Yeah. See? Yeah.
Primates all over this tap room.
Beer and people. Good stuff, man. Well, big stuff going on at Great Lakes, but can we kind of start at the beginning? Can you tell us a little bit about the history of the brewery?
Totally. Yeah. So we were founded, the brewery is 1 year younger than me. So we were founded in 1988. Dates myself. That's how I keep track of my own age when the anniversary comes around. I know how old I am. Right. So we were founded by Pat and Dan Conway, two brothers from the nearby side of Cleveland who had the entrepreneurial itch, classic story of a lot of the other like 80s founders. Right. So they wanted to start their own brewery, inspired by the travels in Europe and all that. Started on a wee little 7-barrel system in our restaurant, Brew Pub Restaurant, which is in Ohio City, a neighborhood like just west of downtown Cleveland, and basically slow and steady grew over the past 34 years to become the number 19 craft brewer in the country. Moved through a couple different brew houses along the way, but we have a nice 75-barrel brew house right across the street from the restaurant now where all the beer comes from.
That's
pretty awesome.
That's great. Number 19. I did not realize that you had been around 34 years, and I honestly didn't realize that the brewery was that high up on the listing of breweries out there.
I knew it was up there. I didn't remember their exact number on the list, but I knew it was up there. But the story you tell about the European travels, that seemed to be such a common story.
Very common.
Back then. Now it's, because it was still, we were what, a decade into legalized homebrewing at the time.
Yeah.
The early 80s. So it was still a pretty foundling thing.
If I remember correctly, they were also a little inspired by the fact that I think a brewery that was in Cleveland had just closed down, and so was there not really anything going on there in terms of brewing? There was like a giant gap to fill in terms of beer.
Correct. Yeah, the last brewery that closed down was Christian Schmidt Brewery, which Schmidt's was out of Philly, if I'm not mistaken, but they had an outpost up in Cleveland. They closed down in '84, so there was a brief gap in time for 4 years where there was no beer being brewed in Cleveland. That's actually, we scooped up the former brewmaster from Schmidt's and then one of the engineers at Schmidt's to construct our first brew house and develop the early recipes like Dortmunder Gold and Elliot Ness, some of those other classic beers that we've made for a long time.
Good stuff. Speaking of scooping up people, I think a recent acquisition there at Great Lakes, Stephen Powell's joined your team recently, correct?
We are very grateful to have that guy.
Yeah, we talked to him in 2019 when he was at Boulevard. Had a great conversation with him, but how'd that one happen? How'd you get him over there to Great Lakes?
Yeah, we were pretty pumped when we landed him. So like we started as such a small brewery and grew so fast that like we just needed somebody to kind of oversee everything at one time. We have an awesome brewmaster. We have an awesome operations and production team, supply chain and all that stuff. But there wasn't really that one point person over there. And we really needed that. We have an excellent CEO, Mark King, who's been running the ship for a couple of years. And he basically went out and was looking for a year or two to find that guy to like oversee everything. Because we're 14 states, we have to figure out where we're getting all those ingredients for our 30,000 barrels of beer a year come from. So what magic that Mark worked to land Steven, I'm not entirely sure, but we're very pumped to have him on the team. I will say that. Yeah.
Now, were there any plans? Was he brought in with the mind of him bringing any changes in? Was there any goal there, do you know, or just a great addition to the team?
Great. One of the biggest things for us is we have to, just like a lot of our elder craft beer brethren, we have so many of those awesome classic beers that got us to where we are, but there's so much more like innovation wise that we can do down the road, especially like in some of those beyond beer spaces, right? And Steven has a lot of experience with that from Boulevard. That's certainly part of it, but just to have kind of a general like synthesis of brewery operations is something that was really important for us. So it's a little bit of both. A little bit is just the right fit for what we needed, but he's obviously a very acclaimed brewer in the industry.
Absolutely.
So he's going to bring some, and again, our existing team was already doing a great job, but that pilot system, we have a pilot system in the main brew house. It's 2-barrel system. That system is churning out pilot brews like I've never seen before, thanks to Steven kind of really pushing the envelope. So
good stuff. Well, mention wheat wines to him. Tell him you should get some wheat wines going there.
Tell him bring back Harvest Dance. It doesn't have to be the same name. It can have a great reference to Gordon Lightfoot or something like that.
I like a good wheat wine, so I'm all about it.
See, and Coffee Ale, they retired that one, and that was stellar too.
They may have also done the chocolate ale, but the coffee one and the wheat wine were two of my favorites. And
you don't see enough wheat wines, Michael. They're just not as beloved a style. So
barley wine is life after all, but like wheat wine's a close number 2. Wheat wine's a close number 2.
Wheat wine is spiritual life. This is what nourishes the spirit.
We need to add a third one so we can have a trinity here. So barley wine, wheat. Well, didn't we hear of
how about a rye wine? Huh?
Munich wine,
wine or rye wine. Yeah,
that's exactly
all right. We can get us a trinity.
We'll work on the
Trinity.
We
can do that. We'll get it all together.
The Pentaverates, perhaps. Maybe we'll get up to that level.
Father, Son, Holy Ghost, second cousin,
uncle.
Hallowed be thy names. The ABV come. Thy will be done.
Thy will be done. Yes.
Good stuff. Well, you're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We're going to take a break and invent a new religion. We'll be right back with more from Great Lakes Brewing Company.
I hope that doesn't get us kicked off stations.
Yeah, I know.
We're not serious,
Wait, what?
people.
What?
We're not serious unless there's a lot of money. I guess
I was
there's a lot of money.
We're not serious, but if you're interested in joining,
if you'd like to buy,
drop us
if you'd like to buy a new book from our new thing that we're working on, we're workshopping the name, but
yeah,
the Wine is Life movement.
Life.
Yes,
I like it.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Munich wine is something I've actually heard of.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
is that Brad from Private Press? Do you guys ever talk to Brad from Jackie O's? Brad Clark?
We didn't talk to Brad. Who did we talk
so.
to from Jackie O? Is that
it's been too long. I don't recall.
I forget names. I have to Google it. Sometimes, Michael, I have to Google.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Like 330 shows.
Yeah,
deep
yeah.
now, so
right. Of course. Yeah.
We got there was a Monday night. They did was it Munich wine locally that was.
Yeah, Monday night did a Munich wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty
so that's
solid.
the thing.
I
It's like
that.
I think I was listening to like Craft Beer and Brewing podcast, and Brad was on there, and he claims that he invented the Munich wine thing. So
Okay.
if Munich wine is spreading, then I think that is a fantastic thing. Yeah.
Yes,
Well, it has made it down
I know
here.
We've seen it a few, maybe 3 so far.
Enough that I guess Peter Kiley was aware of it and decided to brew.
Yeah.
I assume he made it. I don't know. Monday night's gotten big. They may have a bunch of other people brewing some stuff now too. But
Absolutely. Let's see.
Yeah, I see their name all the time.
Hazecraft.
Can't believe I can't remember this. I'm having to Google it. Google it. We did. We talked Art. We talked.
I was going to say it's Art's
yeah,
the owner.
Yeah, right. I was like,
Right,
I know
it'd
it was
be
the
either-
owner. I just couldn't remember the name.
It'd be either Art
Yeah.
or Brad. You have to talk to him.
Yep. That's right. Michael,
cool.
question for you. I'm hearing something that's like a metal scrubbing together, or maybe scissors cutting paper. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but is there anything over there that may be causing that noise?
Do you think it could be the AC? I could turn the AC
I don't think
on.
so. It doesn't sound like an AC. No,
Yeah,
is
that's
anyone
weird.
else hearing that? Just
I think I heard one of them.
it's like scissors,
It
right?
did sound like scissors.
Weird. The dog was barking briefly. Do you think it could have been that in the distance?
No,
Nah.
it wasn't, because I did hear
We heard the dog clearly.
the dog
Yeah.
chatting us up here.
Are you
but-
trimming your beard right
I
now?
am not
Yeah,
trimming
do you
my
have-
beard.
Okay,
I really
just
need
making
to.
sure.
Okay, cool.
There's never a need to do that. No, there is. You do have to keep the beard under
You got to
control.
keep. You got to keep.
But
it-
right now
keep it
would
in
be a
check
bad time
there.
for it. But
It couldn't be connection or anything like that. You guys think?
you know what
That's-
it is?
oh,
It's
hold
beard
on.
hair rubbing up against his
Oh.
his cables, and there's not
You
much
think
you
it's
can
that?
do about
Let's
that.
see,
Oh,
Brian.
I'm pretty sure.
Hold on just a second. Would you hold the mic away and turn your head
Yep.
around?
How about
please?
right now?
Nothing right now.
Nothing right now. How about now?
Yeah. So before, no,
It's
it
the
wasn't. It
stupid
didn't
beard.
touch his beard.
What's that?
It
How about-
hadn't touched his beard.
I don't know. It could be.
Guys,
It could be pretty
guys-
close though. Can you guys hear it now?
I definitely
There is a metallic jangling. That is not beard hair on a mic.
have you,
And it did it before he moved there. So I don't know if it's just something
I can't do it on this one.
in the
but
connection or.
I have definitely done that while gaming with beard
Yeah.
and mic thing, and it does sound oddly scratchy metallic. I think, or
So
like
I'm talking-
jangling
when I'm-
keys.
When I'm talking right now, can
Craft.
you guys hear it at all right now? As I'm
Right
talking?
now,
No,
I don't
no.
hear it at all.
I think it might be that.
Maybe it's just brushing. Maybe it's just hitting it just right to.
Right.
He has thick,
I gotta
bristly
go
hair.
shave in the break now. Yeah.
Yeah, baby smooth, man. See, I thought we were gonna mess him up with changing backgrounds. He's just gonna come back beardless.
He's gonna.
I
yeah.
know.
and see what goes.
So
on.
don't go the whole way. Go down like a goatee or Fu Manchu, and then
I'll
go the
just
whole
do.
way.
I'll
like-
just do half. I'll just do this half.
Oh
There
yeah,
you go. Yeah, absolutely, man. Good stuff.
I'll try not to move around as
Good
much.
stuff.
Or like, just sit still.
Set there.
I seriously did not notice it until Tim said something about it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I heard that. I'm like, that's got to be beard. I know this as a guy who
uh-huh.
has a beard. That's beard noise.
Yeah. It hasn't
That-
happened
I
with
guess
previous
so.
beards.
I don't get that. No, that's why I didn't think it was that, because
I know.
we
that's
definitely
weird.
get plenty of beards here. So,
right.
It's like the next time I'm gaming, I'll just rub it across the mic and see what you think of that. I can't do it with this. I really would, but
you got a Yeti at home, don't you?
I do.
Yeah. I don't know if I don't have enough to do anything.
Yeah,
with
it's so you got the foam covering on this, the windsock or whatever it is. I
Yeah.
guess it's not a
that. Do you do
windsock.
any gaming, Michael?
I do not these days.
Okay.
Back in the
All
day,
right.
old school, GameCube stuff like that. But
Okay.
Yeah.
We call it murder therapy.
Yes,
I like
we
it.
we play this shooter game that we've got a couple buddies online. So our old guy cells get on, and the Division 2.
Yes.
Tiki Drinks 6903 is my name. If anybody wants to join up and play the Division.
I forget what I know what mine is. I don't know. There's a number.
I think you'll still find me with Tiki Drinks. I think it tags a number, just something in the system there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get on a few times a week and shoot bad guy. The game Division 2 is based in post-pandemic New York and DC. And it's so funny because the game came out in 2019, or the first one came out like 2016.
Yeah,
didn't it?
and it was also a pandemic thing. They spread the virus on dollar bills at Christmas and infected all of NYC. So,
but so many parallels that you're like, was this just came out in a time machine or something? But the one thing we know that's fake is there's rolls of toilet paper everywhere. And we know from going through
it can't be real.
From going through a real pandemic, that's not the way it goes down.
Rolls of toilet paper and car lights
that have been right there.
Yeah.
I like
oh, this is fake.
Lights that have been on for God knows how many years, with nobody running anything, no infrastructure. I'm like, this doesn't work. But yeah, it's fine.
Toilet paper and lights. That's how we know it's fake.
But
all the deniers, the people that say it's a hoax, the people that say they don't want to get vaxxed because it's poison. And all of that.
It's got all of
that.
Yeah, it's got everything.
It's weird, man. It's weird.
I mean, that's stuff that happened in 1918, right? Or
I actually meant to look back and see if that the Spanish flu, if we had the same thing.
I guess, and I don't know.
I remember reading stuff about masks. Like people are like, "I'm not doing that." And,
anti-mask,
yeah.
I think I remember, and I don't know if the picture was fake, but I think I remember a 1918 or ish image of somebody wearing a very similar mask to what we'd wear. It looked like it was probably actual cloth as opposed to paper or something like that, but very similar. And I'm like, wow, if this is real, that's kind of scary. Like you could colorize that, it was black and white, and it would probably fit into the modern day, and I'm like, hold on. This could be faked. I don't know.
Maybe it was modern day turned black and white. And then
exactly what I'm thinking. It's like, see, look, they were doing it back in 1918. Don't be an idiot.
Brian's like, no, that's definitely a 1918 iPhone.
It's like, it was selfie. They're holding it out. They're holding it out like this, looking down, getting that, what do they call them? MySpace angles or Facebook angles. I don't know what they even call them anymore.
I don't know.
Now they're
MySpace angle. I don't know.
Yeah.
MySpace,
Brian, talk about saying the date showing your age. Brian's calling out MySpace over here
on my old
GeoCities
flip phone era.
Yeah,
my Razor flip phone. Where I had to
the Razor. Yeah,
check out my GeoCities
Still the real
website.
Deal.
What did they used to call it? The angles where you always had to take a picture like from the ceiling down on your face because you were trying to hide that you had extra chins and stuff like that. That just
what was it? Better.
Yeah, get a
higher
angle.
Yeah. I thought it was like it was Facebook angles, MySpace. I think it was named after wherever it became a thing. It was right around that was used heavily right around the time everybody was talking about duck face and everybody's doing duck face. I don't know if that's a thing anymore, but
I'm not. I think I still see it. I don't think it's a thing like it was. But I don't know.
It was so much, and I feel like it wasn't long ago. But apparently, it has been a million years.
I don't believe the kids are using it on the Tic Tacs, Brian.
No, not on the Tic Tacs.
I'm not going to claim that I'm up to date with the current selfie trends either.
See,
what I mean?
Hey, now brand ambassador.
Nor was I ever. Yeah, but
so do you have to do funny TikTok videos on that? Is that part of?
No, we got a social media guy.
You got someone to do that.
I'm typically more like the long form, like when it's media stuff, like long form like this. Sit down and BS and talk about beer for a long time, or in person stuff. He tends to be more the 30-second TikTok thing. Anything you see on TikTok, Instagram, all that on our channels, that's my buddy who sits right across the other side of the cube for me when I'm in the office. That's what social media. Yep.
See, that's I believe TikTok is the first horseman of the apocalypse.
Probably.
So, it's coming.
That said, in the third segment, we do have a choreographed dance that we're going to have to have you perform as part of this.
Yeah.
To that song, that whatever that oh no song is. Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well, the new one is that My Money Don't Jiggle Jiggle song.
I don't know
That's
this one.
The new. There you go. We get no Mike to do the jingle.
I've only recently learned to hate the Oh No song.
Yeah.
Now there's a new one.
I have heard of that one.
You really ought to see it. Yeah. Louis Theroux, you know him, the French comedian? I think he's French.
Is he he's a comedian, not a mathematician? Because I think, isn't there a mathematician by that? I don't know. I have no idea.
Maybe that's where he stole it from, but
that's probably.
Yeah.
Wait, that's old. Now that's
an
old.
Trend.
No, Mike Nate's getting old. He's
here.
making dated references to like 2 or 3 years ago.
He's doing the Charleston on TikTok.
Dun, 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 dun. Now Tim is the oldest among us, and he's throwing down the Charleston references.
I like it. Oh, hey, what's new again though? Your guys are going to see the Charleston next year. I guarantee you.
You know, the stuff does recycle. See, what were they called? Bobbers? The
flappers. Yeah, the flappers. Yep.
I want the 50s beatnik, like the dudes that just talk.
So,
all right, you know what? We should respect
90s,
Michael's time and not sit here and talk about flappers and that. So, how about a little more radio, Michael?
That works for me.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Shake it back!
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. I want to give a quick shout out to our newest radio affiliate, KKGX 920 AM and 99.1 FM in Palm Springs, California. Catch Beer Guys Radio and KKGX every Monday. That's Monday at 7 p.m. That's a weeknight.
I didn't notice. I think that's our first weeknight.
I think it is. Now
that's a great way to spend your Monday evening, man.
That's right.
Catch up with your Beer Guys, Palm Springs.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Now let's get back to Great Lakes Brewing.
Great Lakes Brewing. Michael, I've got a little Haze Craft IPA right here.
As do I.
That I'm sipping on. And I like these cans, man. I like the styles. And are these the new? Because you're working on new cans, or are these the new ones?
These are the new, yeah. So you guys remember our stuff? I mean, you guys have had our stuff before,
bottles,
right? You remember like labels from like 5 years ago or so?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So it used to be like a lot of like black and white, and then this little good label art, but like this little label art in the middle there. And obviously, as you can tell, we've now moved to cans big time from the bottles. Although we still do a lot of bottles. We're about 50-50 bottles, cans. And then the cans have this beautiful, like full wrapped artwork to it with a lot of popping colors and all that.
So I'm going to ask a question that sounds like I'm being snarky, but I'm not. It's a serious question. You said 50-50 cans and bottles. Why?
That's what people buy, pretty much. So
they're still on the bottles then, yeah?
Totally, yeah. So the way it kind of works for us is, if you look at all of our beers, we have a lot of like old new going on right now.
Okay.
We're kind of like early on in developing a lot of these new beers. But unlike, I don't know, I'm not going to call any specific people out. A lot of our old school beers, people really still hold on to, especially those seasonals, like obviously Christmas Ale, but Oktoberfest, which is coming out soon, Conway's Irish Ale. Those are still like huge beers for us. But a lot of people who buy those beers, like they really like them in bottles more. And like Edmund Fitzgerald is a bottle beer. Elliot Ness is a bottle beer. But then a lot of the newer beers we've come out with, Crushworthy, a lot of the IPAs, the Imperial IPAs, which you guys don't have today, but I saw you put it on the Facebook post and all that.
I like that. I was gonna ask about the art on that, because that's
very striking,
vibrant.
That's a cool one, right? Yeah. Those are all cans, because the people who like those styles and like the generally, I don't want to generalize too much, but it tends to be a little bit younger with the cans, a little bit older with the bottles and stuff. So we're very much like, serving both of those audiences still. So that's why we kind of have that even mix still.
That's good.
Well, not still, just over the past 2 years. But yeah.
See, that's why I like seeing breweries that have the old and new. They can look, we can hold on. These are good beers. Just because they're not the coolest trend doesn't mean it's not a phenomenal beer. We talked to Shiner a while back. Shiner Bock is still a great beer. If it's not the coolest one in the world, Shiner Bock is a tasty beer.
Sure.
And I don't think I have any attachment to like 12-ounce bottles or anything, but man, I miss that large format is not as cool as it used to be, as popular as it used to be.
Good for sharing, right? Those 22-ounce bombers, barrel-aged beers. Man. Yeah. 16's almost like just not quite enough. If you got like 5-6 friends, it's like you're only getting a little splash, right?
Yeah. Brian opened up an 8-ounce bottle the other day.
I did. So, yes, an 8-ounce bottle of dark stout, variant right? coffee stout from stout. Yeah. Dark Apparition. I can't remember the name, but it was from Variant Brewing. But yeah, a cute little 8-ounce bottle. I thought it was fun. It was perfectly sized for our BGR glasses, Tim. So that was great.
There you go. Worked out.
So I think I am very much behind you putting anything IPA in cans just because of the light situation. I think that's a smart move. Also, it appeals to the younger folks. But are you saying like Edmund Fitzgerald and the like will never be in cans or are not in cans, or is it just like overwhelmingly bottles for those?
We thought about it at one point, but we just, based on feedback. So we started canning in October 2020, which blows my mind that it was only less than 2 years ago we started canning. And we'll say this, we put our original IPA, Commodore Perry, into cans, and people did not like that. We got a lot of we got a lot of response from longtime fans who are like, I can't believe you're putting this beer in cans. And it's just, most people who prefer those beers prefer them in bottles. And so we're happy to just keep putting them in bottles. And you're totally right. A lot of those beers do happen to be more malt forward beers too. So, you know, they're not really going to get light struck like an IPA would anyways. So yeah, it's just giving people what they want pretty much.
It is fun to see how people get attached to like even the packaging, you know, that this just doesn't feel right. This isn't right. And I've heard people, you know, not too long ago comment that, oh, there's a metallic taste. I don't like beer in cans. Bottles are better. Just all these things. Just I've heard, and I cannot validate this, but I've heard that in Germany, cans are it's cheap beer. That's what you drink your cheap beer, your swill out of. And
you drink the good stuff out of the glass. Yeah. Now that I believe, for better or for worse, most of the cans now have a liner in them that may or may not be some form of interesting plastic, which is a whole other discussion. But if you're getting metal out of it, it's probably a brewing flaw and not the can that's delivering that. So,
or you just haven't had one out of a can in 40 or 50 years.
True.
And you're going off the ones that your dad and uncle and grandpa actually had to pull the tabs off of.
If it's out of the bomb shelter and you need a church key to open it up, it's probably going to have a little bit of a metallic taste.
Right.
And you might want to
mildly oxidized at that point.
Just a tad.
Just a little bit. Tad. I mean, they wouldn't be light struck though, because those cans are really solid. But
they're very solid. They're solid. That's what we talk about. Like you see the videos of people crushing cans on their heads. Well, when that trend first started, that was an accomplishment. Those cans were stout, man.
Right.
It wasn't like these cans we've got today.
I've never thought about that before. That's my insight for the day. That's my insight.
There you go, man. Guys. We are here to educate as well, Michael. We're sharing knowledge here.
Wow.
Yeah, I seriously can't even.
Right.
I can't even imagine because especially the 16 ounces. You don't even have the. You don't even have the closeness of the top and the bottom, which are the hardest parts.
Yeah.
To is close to the center of it. I spilled some beer, so we got
a little beer spill. We're addressing the situation.
Yeah,
we've got it under control there.
But anyway, yes, the 16 ounces smashing those over your head, very easy. A lot of lightness in the center.
Flex
there.
room,
a lot of flexibility.
Wonder how many guys back in the day. What's that, Michael? Sorry.
Oh, less than or yeah, I agree.
That's it, man. Bring it.
I haven't done it. Not that I've done it, but.
So I wonder how many fellas back in the day knocked themselves out trying to
giving themselves a concussion. I can believe it. I mean, seriously, I think, do we have one of those? We do have one of those cans over there, and even old
that's right.
and a little rusty. That thing is still very solid.
So. We have a mini Georgia beer museum here, and I have some like blown glass bottles that I believe are 1890s to early 1900s. And then we have like one of the oil cans from Atlantic Brewing. Now that one, that'd do some damage.
That would knock a guy out.
That's a solid can.
You could you could probably have used that in the Civil War to take out an army regiment. Those things.
Pack it down your muzzle loader, fire it out there, man.
Sure. Muzzle loader, cannon, one of those things. So I know that one of the things that you had mentioned to us is that you guys were the top performing brewery, or one of the top performing breweries of 2021. I was curious, do you think switching to cans had a big part of that, or was it some other thing, or was it just a combination of factors?
It was a combination of a couple different things. So like our CEO, who I mentioned before, Mark, when he came on in October 2019, and we just need to start freshen some stuff up. The things we had been working for a while, but again, you got to have the old and the new, right? He came in, and bless him, considering he came in like 4 months before the pandemic hit, was really able to help drive us towards the cans, towards the refreshed label art again. But most importantly, guys, I think the most important thing is the beer, right? So getting a lot more IPAs out there. You mentioned, I think before, IPAs are 46% of craft beer, right? We had one IPA, and it was an old school English IPA, which is not what's driving the growth of the category. So Haze Craft comes out in 2020. Tropicosta comes out in 2021. I was sipping on a Great Lakes IPA earlier, so we really rounded out that IPA portfolio, and we added on top of that, we had like 1 or 2 seasonal Imperial IPAs. And as much as I love some classic styles that we had in our High Gravity series, it made way more sense to shift those towards all Imperial IPAs. So that was a huge source of growth for us. Crushworthy, the citrus wheat beer, was a huge source of growth for us last year too. That's really, in the end, what it comes down to for a brewery. So that's what got us to be one of the top performing craft brewers last year, is those awesome new beers.
Good stuff, man. Yeah. All about growth. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We do need to take another break, but we'll be right back with more from Great Lakes Brewing. Michael, we had a tragedy over here, but we kept on flowing. Brian knocked over.
I think I saw that.
Yeah, knocked
over
the effects
of the tragedy.
Onto his Chromebook.
Onto my Chromebook, but my Chromebook survived.
Oh, I did not see onto the Chromebook.
Yeah. Thanks to the quick actions of No Mike Nate, it right.
Survived. Brian kept talking. No Mike Nate grabbed it. It was a team effort.
That's right. I saw the urgency.
I shouldn't say team. I just sat here. Really, I'm like, what an idiot.
Tim's mouth agape, like, oh my goodness, somebody had to be very stressed out while we were very calm and collected and executed.
I got us covered. I was screaming on the inside.
That's right.
I did.
Yes, we did.
I didn't know how dire the situation was.
No, we survived. It's fine.
It didn't actually get it. It was like splashed.
It got on top of it. Yeah. It didn't even make a mess of the stickers on the outside of the Chromebook. I got it off there pretty quickly. So
fair. It's fair. All right.
It booted up when I opened it up. So I think we're good. Yeah. I will learn how to carry on.
So, question for you, Michael. Have you dabbled in the non-alcoholic arts any?
That's one thing that we have not gotten into yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys have talked with others, but that's something that requires some specialized equipment.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay. We're gonna have to. That's a whole other hairy topic right there. Is at some point, if we continue on the right trajectory, then we got to figure out what we're gonna do to keep making more beer. So.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, contract partners and stuff like that, if we're not thinking about one right now, but if we did, that would be probably the temporary stopgap type thing.
Yeah. I think it's probably at a point right now where most breweries probably need to think about the fact they're going to need to think about one. So
I think I would agree. Yeah.
So, right. Like if things keep going, and we just, shout out to our friends at Athletic Brewing. We've known these guys since they launched and just seen their growth. They're making tasty. And I'm using this one right now. Like when I drink all the IPA out of my glass, I still got this Athletic Light here as something light. So I still have something to sip on. And Brian, everybody, if you're watching this, follow us on Twitter, Beer Guys Radio. Brian is the master of our Twitter account. You're going to see him out there. Join him for NA Sundays.
NA Sundays. I've decided this is a thing. Soon. Yeah, starting very soon.
It doesn't hurt to detox one day. Stay,
people may think that I am constantly under the influence. I'm not. I actually usually take Sundays off, and I mean, you need to after you really crush them Friday
for not
and Saturday.
Sucking down alcohol one day a week,
right.
Brian.
That is right. I
Round
am winning.
Yes,
but
yes.
but this past weekend I happened to have a non-alcoholic beer, and I thought, hold on, I could still have a beer. It has with no alcohol. That's actually pretty solid. So I drank a non-alcoholic beer. It's one of with the exception of events where we've got stuff we need to do on a Sunday, I'll just abstain. And it's nice I've wanted beers, but I just don't, because it seems like a healthy thing to do.
I haven't had something to do. Little Crooked Stave there. We haven't popped one of those in a while.
How about that?
We started messing with NA beer back 2020, wasn't it? Or 2019? It was pre-2020.
Yeah, it was pre-2020.
The doctor told me to watch my alcohol intake. He's like, you don't got to quit, but just try to chill a little bit. So that's when we kind of said, well, this sounds like a good time to see how the craft NA scene is doing. So
absolutely,
it's doing really
blown up since then. Yeah,
it was doing well then. It's amazing now. There are a number of extremely good options out there that I will be happy to fill up my non-alcoholic Sunday with these options.
Yeah.
So
have you tried any or many, Michael?
I have had a couple here or there, but I should try a couple more. I know Athletic is doing awesome stuff.
They're
everywhere, dude. Yeah, they're
Athletic would be our top recommendation, like across the board. Bravus makes a but I think they call it peanut butter dark.
Peanut butter dark.
But peanut butter stout that is almost indistinguishable from like a lower ABV peanut butter stout.
It's really good. Yeah.
So those are a few of ours. There's a couple that are hot garbage.
Wellness or something like that.
Well-being.
That's got an interesting kind of like an herbal wit or something like that.
Yeah, it's like an hydration electrolytes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys get Untitled Art stuff?
Art. That's
Untitled Art.
Nate just mentioned Untitled Art. No, Mark, Nate. Can't talk or read today, Nate.
Did you get some of this Crooked Stave over there?
Oh,
okay. All right.
Man, too bad you can't send a sample glass to the.
I know. We got to figure that out, don't we, man?
I've got this is stuff because I'm pouting because this is my second little isolation time in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I have these North Coast old stock from a decade ago. And I'm like, F it, I'm putting these in the fridge. I'm going to have one of these after the podcast.
You just gave me an idea for a show. We need to do a show on forgotten beers or underappreciated, like what was cool 5 years ago, 10 years. Old Raspy, Old Stock Ale, Old Dispute.
Yeah.
Kate the Great was a big one. I don't even think like Zombie Dust outside of its area gets quite the love
Zombie Dust used to be for us in Cleveland. Zombie Dust, 7 years ago is like if it dropped at a retailer, it was gone that day.
Yeah.
And I would say shelfie, if you will, because people, the curse of being a craft beer fan, if it's accessible to you, then it's not good anymore, right?
That's right.
You know what? We played that. Are you familiar with Creature Comforts here in Georgia?
Yes.
Okay, so the Tropicalia is their flagship IPA. That was a turning point beer for Georgia beer.
Sure, it definitely was.
Game changer for Georgia. And when they were brewing it, people were saying they were making claims that these guys were hoarding pallets to try and keep Tropicoastal. Yeah, Tropicalia,
This is totally inspired by Tropicalia.
Okay, cool. Man.
Cool.
Yeah.
Our current sales VP is he was with United Beverage, and then I think he was at Scofflaw for a year or two or something.
Okay.
Like that.
All right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I could be wrong about that.
Who's up there? What's his name?
Chris Brown.
I know the name. I know the name. Yeah. I don't know that I've had direct interaction, but I do know the name. So
I have a feeling like
inspiration for that for Tropicoastal. It's inspired by Tropicalia. Yeah.
See.
Oh, cool.
It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The small world.
How
of
about
craft
that?
beer.
Yeah, that's that is great.
And it's an awesome beer. I had a friend send me a 6-pack, super fresh, and it's awesome.
Oh, it's great. And
It's a
that
great
was
beer,
talking about, the dilemma of a craft beer drinker when it was flying off shelves. Same thing. And it hit a store and it was gone. People were chasing trucks. People take pictures if they saw a pallet and it was gone. And they're like, make more Trop. Actually, I think it became a hashtag for a while. Make more Trop.
Wow.
And people are saying they're hoarding it. They're releasing it in small quantities. So to fuel the hype, They were saying they weren't sending enough to Atlanta, and they told me 60% of what we brew goes to Atlanta. You're just a much bigger market than Athens.
And you guys are buying all of it. So.
Yeah. So they built a bigger brewery, put like a 90-barrel brew house in there, and started making more. And I kid you not, Michael, within 90 days of that, people are commenting, "Oh, that's a shelfie." That's all.
I know.
Like
It's
you
the
guys,
curse.
I can get that anywhere. There's nothing special about it. It's still the same beer.
It's rare. Like I'm probably a rare type where I am a huge beer nerd, but I'm also in the industry. So like I understand both worlds, and I rightfully call out my nerdy friends for saying, no, that is a bad perspective. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
We should do a bad beer take show too. Just some of the stuff we've overheard.
Yeah.
Some of the bro science that we've read online.
We could do that. We could merge in with that. There are social media accounts dedicated to this, like bad check-ins, bad reviews of beers, like terrible.
Yes.
Oh, there's so much. We could have a panel of brewers on. Just read to us your various bad tweets and bad reviews.
That's a good one right there. Yeah.
Bro science and bad reviews. That'd be a great show.
It's just nothing but the worst of trolling in craft beer. What makes you regret getting up in the morning?
Yes.
When a good Untapped, a good 1.5 Pilsner like Untapped review is read by a brewer, it's such a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah,
pretty good. Well, this is a pretty good Pilsner, 1.5 out of 5 or something like that. Right.
The one I saw recently is like, I think they gave it like 2.5 or something like that. It's like, I would have given it a 4, but it's a Pilsner, so I can't.
Exactly.
Right.
It's
what if like apparently the rarefied air above 3 on the rating scale is reserved for IPAs and pastry
There
stouts.
was one I saw recently, like the review said don't like it, too much chocolate, and it was like double chocolate stout was the name of the beer. So it's like no
yeah,
too much chocolate, Nate.
What can you do?
Oh, yeah. I was thinking of that one, but I couldn't remember exactly what.
Too much of dark malt or too much of darkness.
Too much dark malt. Yeah. Darker subject matter. Yeah.
Darker subject matter. Too much of dark something or other. Yeah.
Too dark. I don't like dark beers. I don't like.
Why would you get that?
Right.
It's in the name.
Exactly. Yeah. Why would you rate it too? Like if you don't like it, just let it go. Just let it go.
I was reading some posts on a discussion forum the other day, and the person said, like, me and a friend went to so-and-so, and I tried whatever style. They're like, it's not my personal taste, but I could tell it was a really well-made beer. I'm like, there you go. There you go.
Good review.
So easy.
I want to go meet that person.
Right?
Yeah.
This beer is made well, but it's not my personal preference.
I want to point out that I am a little bit of a hero when it comes to Untapped. I checked into a beer, especially stuff from my cellar, and I'll say this is older. It's not living up to, it's not as good as it used to be. It has these issues. I can still taste these good things about it, and it has developed this nice sherry note. I won't rate it. I'll just put the description in there and tell people exactly what you can expect from this older beer. I ain't going to rate it because now is not the time to rate it. It's way past its sell-by date, way past.
Yeah.
I'm just an idiot who happened to carry it for far too long. Yeah, exactly right.
You still got it, Brian.
I still got it. That's what I tell everybody. It's in my cellar. I still got it.
Well, Michael, we're going into the last segment. Is there anything we have not mentioned that you want us to make sure we do mention?
I think we got to most of it. The only stuff I could think of is like teasing. We got some fun stuff for next year coming up. I can't say specifically, but and then I don't think we touched on the whole like employee ownership thing. We could talk about that a little bit.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
We could talk about that, or we could spend the entire last segment talking about Gordon Lightfoot. Is that cool?
Yeah,
with you?
We can weave in a Gordon Lightfoot. Yeah,
we'll do it.
So we did not, and I teased it up front. We didn't actually talk directly about Christmas ale, or we've mentioned Evans Fitzgerald Porter.
So let's get the employee-owned thing worked in there. That's definitely important info, and then we'll
let's talk about the classics.
We gotta mention them. So cool. All right.
But you got to get on the Christmas one at least. And the Edmonds.
We'll get through as much as we can here. We always have more notes than we have time just to make sure. So we'll go with there. Yeah. All right, let's do it, Nate.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. If you enjoy the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/beerguys. Patrons get cool perks like Beer Guys swag and commercial-free episodes. Now let's get back to Great Lakes Brewing Company.
So, Michael, we want to talk we talked in the last segment about bottles versus cans, the old school beers, the classic beers. So we definitely want to give some love to the classics, the legends there. But question for you, Great Lakes Brewing Company is an employee-owned brewery. Is that correct?
That is true. That's a new thing as of 2018.
And what does that mean for a business? Like, what's important to have the employee own there? What's it mean for the future?
Yeah, so it's something really big for us. So 2018 was our 30th anniversary. Math. So the math gets tougher later in the session.
It does, man.
Right?
Yes.
Stuff, right.
Fourth segment.
So we have this really cool event we do every year. We've done it since 2010. We shut down the company for one day. We fly in the sales reps from outer markets. Pubs closed. All the brew pub staff are there, and we have this big summit event where we kind of brainstorm for the year ahead, reflect on the year back. In 2018, the co-owners, Pat and Dan Conway, surprised us all by announcing that they were making Great Lakes and ESOP company and employee stock ownership plan company. So it's a gradual transition for us. It's kind of succession plan type stuff where the Conways are still very much involved with Great Lakes, which is awesome. We love to see them. They obviously have their executive team making day-to-day decisions, but they're still very much there. But over time, the idea is obviously they won't be around at some point anymore.
Sure.
And gradually, one of the ideas possibly is transferring ownership more fully over to employees. So one way or the other, that's just theoretical future type stuff. What the ESOP does for us now is it really motivates each and every one of us to even more perform to the best of our abilities as a Great Lakes employee, because we all share ownership in the company. So the better we all do, the higher quality products we're motivated to make, because we all have a real stake in the success of the company. So, by the way, employee owner here. Hello.
All right. We're talking to the owner of Great Lakes.
We
co-owner
need
of Great Lakes.
Owners. That's it, man.
Need to update his title at the intro.
Well,
I got to update my title.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Now, does moving to a program like that, does it safeguard any against buyout, sellout, having the employees on it?
And that is one of the big desires of the Conways is, obviously we've seen it. I don't need to tell you guys or your listeners about some of the big sales over the past 6 months or so, let alone before that. But man, the Conways are so dedicated towards keeping Great Lakes an independent business. And that was the first thing that Dan said when we had our summit for this year back in June. Actually, I think it was 1 month to the day. I think it was June 20th. The first thing he said was some sort of toast, and he included the fact that we are an independent brewery for years to come. So it's absolutely part of their plan through the ESOP to keep Great Lakes and as much as possible an independent company.
That's a smart move. I think that might be the best move for planning for the future of a company, because I think there's a fair number of breweries that wind up selling out just because the children of the owners aren't interested in running the business. They see an opportunity to make some money and they just, boom, gone. They're out of it. So,
and if you do something like this to safeguard, then you don't have to eat your words 4 years later, Stone.
Exactly. Wait, are we talking to Stone directly now?
No.
And the other big thing too is company's got to go somewhere, right? For the benefit of the employees, all those people who have jobs. So if you don't have a child who's willing to take the business, it's got to go somewhere. So
absolutely.
Very
and
true.
You know what? I don't like sellout breweries. I like craft to stay craft, but I can't fault anybody who does that if you're in a situation where that needs to happen or that's the best interest. In any other industry, we've talked about this before, if you build a business up to the point where someone's willing to offer you millions of dollars of it, you're a huge success.
In IT, that's
the way it works.
Everybody wanted to build the business so Microsoft or Google would buy them. That was the whole idea. You build it to sell it out.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a problem apparently for them. But
was it Ballast Point? Was that the $1 billion buyout?
Yeah. I believe it was Ballast Point.
Look, we want to let everyone know right now that Beer Guys Radio is not for sale. But if you got $1 billion offer, we're for sale.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Yeah, we'll throw in Great Lakes Brewing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we'll buy out all the employees with that money.
Right. We'll work it out, man.
We'll figure it out.
Everybody wins. Everybody wins.
Yeah. We just want to be part of that deal.
Yeah. I mean, how do you say no to $1 billion offer?
I don't think you can, Tim. It's money you cannot refuse, I think.
Yep.
But we need to get into the classics,
the legends. You know what? I'm going to start this, Brian. I'm taking this.
All right. You go right ahead.
I have a special place in my heart for Edmund Fitzgerald.
Of course.
I love the beer, and I hope everybody listening here hasn't enjoyed the musical stylings of Gordon Lightfoot.
Yeah, of course.
The song. Do you know, Michael, this is an important question in my life. Has Gordon Lightfoot had an Edmund Fitzgerald beer?
That is a great question. Shame on me as someone in marketing. I cannot say that I know that he has had a beer.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know that he hasn't.
Right.
But
yeah, I will say that I did some Googling of Gordon Lightfoot Edmund Fitzgerald beer to see if I could find any kind of little, and I couldn't find anything there. So
now, if you do go to ask him about it, you better take care if he finds you creeping around his back stair. Just
especially at sundown.
Yeah, especially around sundown. Yeah.
But Edmund Fitzgerald, how old is that beer? How long has that been part of the lineup?
Oh, Fitz is early 90s. So after the original brewmaster thing, we had another guy who came up with a lot of the ales. So like Burning River, Perry, and then Eddie Fitz in 92. Yep. 91, 92. Yeah,
30 years, 92. Man. 30 years. Has the recipe
changed recipe at all? For just like any other commercial brewery, we've only adapted a recipe so that the flavor profile remains the same over time. You know what I mean? Like, just because of ingredient fluctuation, how crops grow every year.
Yeah, and I know some breweries have like totally reformulated an IPA because that profile just wasn't the thing anymore. So reformulating to keep up with ingredients to keep the profile the same. Respect.
And that's the nice thing about a porter is that I don't think you're ever going to have to do that,
Right.
For the most part, no.
Hazy, Northeast style porter.
Unless we wanted to lactose it up and throw in coconut and stuff. That'd be different.
Hang on.
But,
yeah.
A pastry, Edmund Fitzgerald?
Have you done variants of Edmund Fitzgerald? Or is it
we have not on a large scale. We got some infusion kegs, we've done some cask stuff, but we haven't done that. That's a little pipe dream of mine personally, is to big fits. Barrel age it, throw some stuff in there. I would love that. So.
And you could call
tell Steven we want that to happen. Yeah,
that's it.
Call it Big Fits, cork and cage it, and age it at the bottom of one of the Great Lakes.
That seems disrespectful.
Oh,
I'm pass on that, Brian.
Oh, okay.
Disrespect.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I went too far with that beer.
You've gone too far.
I know, but
is it honoring them or?
Yeah, so I was going to say that does bring up that point, though, is that the name is actually specifically, I believe it's Pat, the two brothers who own the company. He was good friends with the son of the first mate from the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Okay.
So when we named the beer, it was absolutely in tribute to the 29 men who lost their lives on the Fitz. So,
I didn't realize there was a direct connection.
There's a very direct connection. We wouldn't just do that kind of out of the blue. We got the blessing of John McCarthy, the son of the first mate, to do that. So
that's pretty awesome. And see, I didn't know, being in the Great Lakes region, if it was just in general there, that I didn't know if there was there was a personal connection.
Yeah.
Rather than just it was local legend, local history.
Right. I kind of wondered a little bit if it was inspired by the song, because the song would have come out around the same time or possibly even earlier. And they're like, hold up, that happened near us. Let's make a beer to it,
Okay.
Because there's a song. But before we get too far,
maybe the song was inspired by the beer.
That could be.
Definitely both inspired by the shipwreck.
You know what? I think we got to say a little bit about Christmas ale.
Do it.
I mean, yeah.
Do it, Brian.
Tell us a little bit about that. That got started really early, and that was like the first of its kind in the U.S.
Yeah, that was another early 90s beer, and anchored at a spiced winter warmer type beer, but you didn't really see one being brewed commonly at all at that time. So it's really, man, what a crazy beer. Like, it's just something that Pat and Dan wanted to do. They wanted a beer that evoked the holidays. Threw in ginger, cinnamon, honey, natural ingredients. It's good 7.5%, so not too high, but just high enough. Boom, over the course of 30, I think this year would be the 30th year of Christmas Ale. So it's going to be a big year for that beer for us. It always is.
How long does it age well, would you say? Because I know people sit on that for
We say 4 months. So the Christmas in July fans out there, all your canned bottles, they're fine. But don't be surprised if it tastes different in October because the spices have faded by now. So.
There you go. We were just talking about seasonal creep, and now I'm like, oh man, I wish it was 40 degrees cooler. I could go for some Christmas ale.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Michael Williams, Great Lakes Brewing Company. Thank you so much for joining us. If folks want to know what is happening every day at Great Lakes Brewing, what is the best way for them to do that?
You got greatlakesbrewing.com, the website with all the info. You got our social handles, at GLBC Cleveland, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Get on that TikTok. We got our TikTok rolling too.
Do it. Awesome. Michael, thanks again. We really appreciate you hanging with us.
Sure thing. Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me.
Well, that about wraps it up for this episode of the Beer Guys Radio Show. Come and join us next week as we talk to Dry County Brewing Company. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great week. And don't forget to drink local. Cheers. Clear. Clear. Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Yeah.
We
always a fun time. I appreciate it, guys. Yeah.
Appreciate it, man. Absolutely.
I've been at home for about 48 hours, so to talk to, other than my wife, nice to talk to some other people. So
see, I tell you what, that's the thing. When the pandemic first laid upon us and everything was quarantined, you remember every brewery was, the people were just like, but our saving grace is Brian and I would come up and lock ourselves in the studio and we'd play cards, we'd watch TV, we'd drink beers. So as everybody was staying at home, at least we did have our studio, which is a cool little clubhouse. We got lots of beer here. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Well, that was it. Michael, hang just a second. I'm going to clear us here on the live feed and just hang on just a second.
Yeah, totally.
Everybody, thank you for tuning in, joining us, hanging out this week. We're back next week, Wednesday, 7 p.m., Dry County Brewing Company. And we will hope that you come hang with us again. Cheers.